So many times, whether it's my children's birthday parties, barbecues, or hosting Thanksgiving and Christmas at our home, I've found it hard to truly enjoy myself. If you often feel like you're rushing around cooking in the kitchen, catering to others' needs, or scrambling to find extra forks in the basement, then this video is for you. This Christmas, my husband and I are welcoming our immediate family into our home, but I'm planning a few changes to ensure I can actually savor the day instead of running around having brief conversations and being stuck in the kitchen. Christmas is a celebration of Jesus where we gather with family and find joy in giving gifts to one another. And what kind of celebration would it be without delicious food? So let's explore how we can create a more relaxing and enjoyable Christmas this year with our families, even while being the host. Even if you're watching this video in the distant future or for a different event you're hosting, you can certainly apply these same tips. If you're new here, my name is Janae and I'm a mama of 2 girls, wife to my high school sweetheart, homemaker, and business owner. I talk about all things homemaking, motherhood, and marriage with a biblical perspective, so if that sounds like something you would enjoy, subscribe and hit the little notification bell so you get notified when I post a new video. I also want to quickly share a little bit about my small business with you before we jump into the video. I own a holistic skincare business called Bare Base, and I created it out of my own needs that the natural skin and body care industry still hadn't met yet. I was looking for an effective solution for my acne and scarring that was still very clean with no fillers or potentially harmful ingredients in it. I realized many products, even labeled organic, aren't that great for your skin. Over the years, I've formulated products all with 10 ingredients or less, such as bar soaps made without coconut oil that are also gentle enough for my babies and effective enough for my hardworking husband. Face moisturizers, water-free cleansers, deodorants, and more, and they are all sensitive skin friendly. I encourage you to check out my website and read a little bit more about each product and see if it would be a good fit for you. And know that if you decide to purchase from my store, it means the absolute world to me and my family, so thank you. Okay, back to the video. I think I kind of had this learned mentality that the host of a gathering never really sat down. After all, it's at their house, so they need to stay on top of things and tend to everyone. They open their house up, which is wonderful, but they do less relaxing and truly enjoying than everyone else. Like, it's just a given. And it is what it is. I recently came to realize it should not be that way, and I refuse for it to be that way any longer. I hate having celebration days pass me by and thinking, wow, well, I'm grateful everyone else had fun, but I didn't really get to relax all day or have much conversation with anyone, even my own kids. I've decided to implement a few strategies to ensure that I can enjoy the festivities just as much as everyone else. First thing that I think is quite important at get-togethers is background music. I plan to put together a playlist in advance that will play in the background so it doesn't really require my constant attention. This way, I won't have to stress about which song might be playing or what should come next. This is also a great way to invite the presence of God into your home, especially when hosting and you know there may be unbelievers or people who don't have a relationship with the Lord. Additionally, I'm recruiting family members to each pitch in. Some are making food dishes, others are bringing plates, forks, and knives, others drinks. Yes, we are hosting at our home, and if it were a birthday party, the situation would be different. However, since this is a gathering for everyone, we believe that all attendees should contribute to the day's expenses. This way, my family won't have to bear the entire financial burden of providing for everyone. Another key change is preparing as much as I can in advance. I'll be making quite a few dishes simply because me and my daughters and mom are pretty much the only ones who eat mainly plant-based. So to ensure we are fed that day, I of course need to make a few things for us, and I'm also making a few things that everyone can enjoy. So some things I have to make the day of, like mashed potatoes, but things like the baked mac and cheese, I'll make in advance so that on the day of, all that needs to be done is finish cooking in the oven. I'm also making my famous vegan cinnamon rolls that I've been making for years that everyone absolutely loves and always requests. So I will make the dough probably the day before because I can make those up to 18 hours in advance, and then just finish the process of baking them the morning of Christmas so they are fresh, but literally the only effort it took me to do on the day of is put them in the oven. So what I'm going to do in my recommendation for y'all is to do as much cooking and baking as possible either the day before or a few days prior, depending on what it is. You can also freeze certain things like cookies that you can make up to a couple weeks in advance. Me and my girls made sugar cookies and I put some of them in the freezer for come Christmas Day, and then I left some of them out, of course, for us to enjoy for the next couple days. So do as much cooking and baking as possible prior to the day of the gathering so you can focus on being present and enjoy the company of your loved ones more than being in the kitchen the entire day. Another thing is disposable everything and not feeling bad about it. I love to be eco-friendly where I can, but I'm absolutely not going to waste all that water or time washing all those dishes at the end of the night. The only thing not disposable will of course be like serving spoons for the food and a few pots and pans, but the bulk of everything else will be disposable. Cups, forks, knives, plates, napkins, everything I can get disposable, I'm getting. Well, I'm actually assigning other people to get them, which ties into my previous point. But yes, disposable is our friend occasionally. Another thing that I think will make a world of difference is I'm going to put pretty much all of my kids' toys away. I'll probably leave some of their stuffed animals out in like big items like the nugget couches we have and like their play kitchen, but everything else will be gone. Even their books, I'm going to put mostly all of them away. I usually do this anyways, even when we don't host on Christmas Eve, to make space for the new presents my children will unwrap. But I'm going a step further this year and clearing away some books too, like I mentioned, and things I would normally keep out, like their kitchen play food. I would normally keep out most of that, but I'm going to put that away this year because other children are coming over and presents are going to be unwrapped, and I think it would be a good idea for a few reasons. Number one, so nobody mistakenly takes home a toy of ours by accidentally dropping it in their bag or getting misplaced, because there's going to be a whole bunch of Christmas bags and exchanges going on, so it just lessens the chance of someone accidentally taking one of my kids' items home. And then number two, it's way less for me to clean up at the end of the night or even the next day, because after everyone leaves, there will just be my kids' new toys and items left. There won't be an abundance of previous toys and books and other things that kids played with all over the house either. And I also won't have to disinfect as much things, because sometimes, especially when there's young kids put things in their mouth and then you're like, okay, that's a mental note, I gotta wash that later, you know? And you have to go around disinfecting and cleaning some things, and so I won't have to do as much of that the next day. Now this ties into my next and almost final tip / thing I'm doing to make my life easier and more enjoyable on Christmas. I will be aiming to put literally almost everything concealed away. So like notebooks on our desk in our office area that live there day to day that my kids usually don't touch, but another kid might. I'm gonna just clear all the surface area spaces as much as I can and have as little out as possible, so there's less to tend to and worry about Christmas Day and night and the next morning. Now, yes, of course, I will have to take some of this stuff back out of drawers that, you know, like I said, usually lives on top of the surfaces day to day, but I feel like it will be so much of a less hassle to be like, oh, because there's going to be kids as young as 2, like my own daughter is 2. She's not 3 yet, she's almost 3, but there may also be another 1-year-old that's almost 2 here, and 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, 6-year-olds, and like all the way up to teenagehoods and adults. So it's just less tempting, because sometimes kids just wander, right? Like a few kids might go into the office area because there's no doors, like all of our rooms kind of just go into the other room. And so they might just be like, oh, like what's this book? And pick up a book, right? And like a page might rip or a paper might get torn, or, you know, not that they're being super destructive, but you know, it might happen on accident. So to limit those things, it's like, okay, just take away all of the temptation that you possibly can and just put it away in drawers so you don't have to worry about it. So I'm not like having a conversation with someone and I look over and I'm like, oh my goodness, what are you touching? like whose child is this? Come get your kid. No, but like seriously, it could be my own kid. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, that's something I've learned from hosting over the years at my house. It's just so much easier. Well, I'm hoping it will be so much easier, because this will be the first year that I'm actually implementing it, because it's happened quite often. Or something like, oh, where did my thing go that I know was on this desk? I didn't see any kids over here, but it's not here anymore. So like, where did it go? You know? So there's a tip for you as well. Next, I'm giving myself permission to take breaks. And I encourage you to do the same. If you notice that it's been a while since you've relaxed or sat down or had a meaningful conversation with someone, just stop. Like, just force yourself to stop, take a deep breath, and relax, even if it's for 5 minutes. Whether it's stepping outside for a breath of fresh air, or sitting down to enjoy a second dessert or cinnamon roll in my case, and a cup of tea, or just sitting and playing with your kids. These moments are important for your own enjoyment and well-being. Last thing I'm doing that actually helps with my previous point of being intentional and taking breaks is playing family-oriented games. This will literally force me to stop and be present with the game. Now, I'm not talking about card or board games that are commonly played at family gatherings that I barely ever get to play because, well, I'm still a mom and I like to keep an eye on my children and can't concentrate that long for something like that while still being able to run from room to room to check to, just peep in on my kids and make sure, the kids are all good. I'm talking about games that involve everyone. Games even little kids can play or will like to watch being played. Or even if the kids don't play, certain games that don't take your entire focus and like 20 minutes of concentration. So you can play for like 2 or 5 minutes and then go do something, go check on your food in the oven or go check on your kids in the other room and then come back if you wanted to. By making these changes, the goal is to create a more balanced and joyful day experience that us as hosts and our family can all cherish and remember. After all, the meaning of spending holidays together is for connection, laughter, and love, and we want to be fully present and embrace all of it. The story of Martha and Mary reminds me of this. Basically, Jesus went to visit their home, and Martha was worried about everything being perfect and the food being served, and was upset that her sister Mary wasn't helping her anymore once the guests and Jesus got there. Mary was sitting near Jesus, being with him, listening to him, and Martha was upset and even told Jesus, tell my sister to get up and help me. We have these guests in here and I'm the only one basically running around doing things like a chicken with its head cut off. And Jesus actually responded to Martha by saying that Mary is the one who chose to do the right thing and that Martha would be wise to pretty much do the same. There's a time for that, but now as Jesus and the other guests are there, enjoy the time and let other things wait. I of course paraphrase the story, but I will read it now. Luke 10 verses 38 through 42, it's quite short, reads, "While they were traveling, and they're talking about Jesus here as he entered a village and a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She had a sister named Mary who also sat at the Lord's feet and was listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks and she came up and asked, 'Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to serve alone? So tell her to give me a hand.' The Lord answered her, 'Martha, Martha.'" I love how it has 2 Marthas in here. You can just imagine Jesus shaking his head Martha, Martha. He didn't just say her name once. He wasn't like, Martha. He's like, Martha, Martha. You are worried and upset about many things, but one thing is necessary. Mary has made the right choice and it will not be taken away from her. That is just such a great reminder. There is a time to do things. There's a time to be prepare and do all the homemaking stuff and tend to people, but there's also a time to just sit and be in the presence of others and be in the presence of Jesus. So let's do what we can to have a more relaxing, joy-filled, Christ-filled Christmas this year. I'm going to say a short prayer to end this video. Lord, thank you for my abilities to be able to host at my home. And whoever is listening to this, thank you for their life and their willingness to listen to this message, Lord. And if they're hosting as well, I pray that you give us the wisdom to do what needs to be done prior to our gatherings of celebration so that we can prepare in advance so come the day of, we can truly be in the presence of those around us more and be able to have more meaningful conversations, Lord. I rebuke the spirit of stress and overwhelm as those are not of you. Fill us with your peace and joy and love. Let us not complain or grumble in any of our homemaking endeavors, but work willingly and joyfully as if working for you, Lord. Help us to fill ourselves up with you, Lord, so that when people enter our homes or even our presence, they feel your presence, Lord. Help us to be better servants and daughters of you, Lord. Thank you for your son, Jesus. Thank you for sending him into this world so that through him we might be saved and have hope and have life abundantly. Help us to love you so deeply that anything in our life that is not of you repulses us so we turn to the light of your ways. Thank you for your mercy and your grace. Thank you for this special time to gather with family in celebration of you for a joy-filled day. Help us to teach our children the true reason behind why we celebrate Christmas. In your precious son's name we pray. Amen. God's love for you surpasses your wildest imagination. Thank you for being here, friends.